Michigan, Ohio State, and Columbus. You had me at hello. And a little bit of holiday extravaganza draft right here on a Friday edition of Locked On NFL Draft. Let's go.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Man, I don't know about y'all. When those drums kick in, it gets me hyped. It gets me hyped for Locked On NFL Draft with my man Eric Crocker. You see him playing the air drums up there. Probably better than Phil Collins could do it. Eric Crocker, you know who Phil Collins is.
No.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, that's all right. You don't need to know who Phil Collins is. That's
Just
okay.
think Tyson.
Yes. Ryan Tracy, you know who Phil Collins is, and he is –
He's my son.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Man, that's a great way to start Locked On NFL Draft. We don't know who Phil Collins is, but that's okay because we have plenty to talk about, and we're going to in just a second. But a reminder that today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season, more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. And the game will start in Columbus on Saturday. The game, Michigan at Ohio State. Let's take a look at this from a draft perspective. So I'm going to throw this out there. And there are a lot of players that are, A, draft eligible in 2023. There are also a few in 2024. Let's put our sort of gambling hat on a little bit, projection hat on a little bit. In Michigan, Ohio State, Eric Crocker, Ryan Tracy. Ryan, we'll start with you. What player do you think in this game is eventually the highest drafted player from Michigan and Ohio State, this matchup in Columbus?
In 2023.
I'm saying any player, highest player drafted.
Highest player drafted is going to be C.J. Stroud. I think he's going to be in the top 3, and I don't know that anybody else is going to catch up to him, even when it's said and done in 24 or beyond.
You won't make a case for Marvin Harrison Jr.? Maybe.
Positional value, top 10, possibly. Top 3, I don't see it.
Eric, what say you?
Yeah,
Marvin
I have
Jr.?
to agree because just the positional value of the quarterback and C.J. Stroud, somebody that people are viewing as a top 5 really prospect in this class. Now, we can fast forward to the draft, and as we go through the process, maybe people aren't as high on him as we are right now. But I think as it stands, he's the highest one. Now, there are other guys that could potentially not overtake him, but eventually be high draft picks. You talked about Marvin Harrison Jr., but there's also an offensive tackle by the name of Pierce Johnson. I mean, he's a guy that people can really, start to grow on as well throughout this process. So I think it's easy, though, the low-hanging fruit, as they say, to go with C.J. Stroud.
Okay, I'm going to ask both of you guys this. I've thought about this because I saw a video today of Blake Corum, and he was using his NIL money to give away Thanksgiving meals to people in Ann Arbor. And so, Blake Corum, good on you, brother. I mean, that was just really, really cool to see it. Where do we sit with Blake Corum right now as a draft prospect? Ryan, what's your thoughts about Blake Corum in this running back class?
I think he's going to be extreme value, to tell the truth, because I think his size is going to send teams running away from him a little bit. I think he's going to be a day 2 pick that's going to outplay guys that are selected ahead of him year after year after year. I like his upside in the league.
Eric, your thoughts on Blake Corum? And if you had to pick a mighty might running back, would you go Blake Corum or Deuce Vaughn?
Yeah, I'd probably go with Blake Corum. And you watch him, you talk about Mighty Mouse or Mighty Might. That's a guy who it looked like a bad knee injury, and then he eventually came in. Now, he came back, ran a couple times, drug a couple guys for a pile, then eventually had to return back to the locker room with the lower body injury. So I haven't heard much on that. We'll see if that's something that is a long-term injury that can eventually maybe impact his draft status. But overall, really like Blake Corum, and I think I'm right there with Ryan Tracy as him being potentially a second round, third round pick type running back. Probably would depend a lot on how he runs. Does he run well? I see the initial burst. I'm not sure I see quite the long speed that people might be looking for. But at the end of the day, if you're a guy that can bang out 5-6 yards, then that's really all that matters. I think there is another player prospect on Michigan's offense that's kind of getting a little bit overlooked throughout this process, and that's probably Ronnie Bell.
Yeah.
Receiver, big play guy, has the size, has the speed. terrific hands, does a really good job of contorting his body in the air to make catches, run after catch. All those things are there. I'm curious to see him play against the Ohio State defensive backs.
Now, Eric does Locked On 49ers, and Ryan does Locked On Chiefs. So I'm allowing you guys one pick from these two rosters to put on this, and it doesn't matter. It can be first through seventh round. It doesn't matter. Think about and there aren't many holes on either team. I watched the 49ers on Monday night. That team's scary with all those offensive weapons. But you know the teams backwards and forwards. And you know these Michigan, Ohio State rosters. Now, I could take up about 5 guys, and they might start for the Texans in 2023. But I'm allowing you one guy for your team off these two rosters, Michigan, Ohio State. One guy from those rosters combined. Pick your Wolverine or Buckeye for your team. Let's go Locked On Chiefs. Ryan Tracy. Pick one guy, Michigan, Ohio State, to add to that roster right now to make the Chiefs better.
It really comes down to, like you said, weapons the Niners have. Chiefs have a constellation of weapons. Everybody's a little banged up. Nobody is like the Iron Man that Tyreek Hill was, although I think they've proven that efficiency through the offense, 5 targets, is adding up to the same thing it was before. I want to add somebody that can take it over the top. I want to add somebody that can really expand and take the place of what could be an MVS that doesn't get re-signed or a Juju Smith-Schuster that is on a 1 year. I'm putting Marvin Harrison Jr. on this roster, and I'm running all the way to the bank, and I'm letting him do everything he wants. He and Mahomes together are going to be scary for this league for the next 6 or 8 years.
Oh, man, I don't even want to think about that. Eric Crocker, you're loaded offensively. Where's the hole, and who do you want to add from Michigan and Ohio State to the 49ers roster?
You know, I just mentioned him, man, and I'm going with Paris Johnson Jr. He's a guy right now, throughout this season, has allowed 0 sacks. He's doing a tremendous job protecting the quarterbacks. And when you look at the 49ers, when Jimmy Garoppolo is clean, which he might not be the quarterback next year, probably go back to Trey Lance, but when Jimmy's clean, he plays well. Trey Lance, you want to keep him clean for the long haul and not have him breaking his ankles. So you go with somebody that can play right tackle. He can play guard as well. He's a guy to come in right now and really protect your quarterback. I think there's a lot of value there, especially for his 49ers team that's probably going to lose Mike McGlinchey, who's on his 5th-year option right now, but he hasn't been great, and I'm not sure he ever really lived up to that 9th overall selection. So I'm definitely going Paris Johnson. I don't think it's close.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. I mean, if I were going with somebody, Ryan took Marvin Harrison Jr., which that would be the ultimate in sticking it back into Colts' face by going with Marvin Harrison Jr. with the Texans. But since Ryan already took him, and there are a lot of different ways I can go, we got to – I mean, C.J. Stroud is up there, but you guys know I'm a Bryce guy. I would want Mozzie Smith, interior, 6'3", 335, athlete that could help in the run game because our run game has been a struggle. We have no size on the Texans. So that would be where I would go, and you know, maybe he's there at the top of the second, which would be kind of nice for the Texans down the road. Number 58, Mozzie Smith. This is going to be one hell of a football game. 2 teams, 11-0, Ohio State favored, but it's in Columbus. Revenge on the mind, and it's a good way to kick off the weekend, well, at least on Saturday, Michigan, Ohio State. Now, we got plenty of other games going on. We're going to quick hit those big games as well. You got the Apple Cup. You got Texas Baylor. You got South Carolina Clemson. Can Spencer Rattler keep it up? The guys will decide next as I talk to you about Prize Picks, daily fantasy made easy. And I know you guys out there love fantasy. I mean, everybody tells me about, hey, my fantasy team did this and my fantasy team did that. Well, what if you did fantasy every single day? That would be fun. Well, Prize Picks allows you to do that. And how does it work? Well, take this for instance. On Monday night, Prize Picks projection for Christian McCaffrey catches was 4. All you have to decide is he going to have more or less. That's it. Decide more or less. Based on the projection that Prize Picks put out there, if you said more, oh, baby, you could have won 10 times your money on any entry. All you got to do is pick 2 to 5 players in a multitude of sports. You can pick football, baseball, esports, college basketball, men's and women's, Euro basketball. You got World Cup going on right now. Entries can be made 60 seconds or less. It's that easy. Safe and fast withdrawals. Currently operational in over 30 states and Canada. Download the PrizePicks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code LOCKEDON. If you deposit $100, PrizePicks will give you $100. Deposit $50, you'll get $50. Deposit $500, you get $100, but still you're getting something from PrizePicks. Don't forget to enter promo code LOCKEDON at sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100. It's prizepicks.com. We'd like to thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today. For your second listen today, check out Locked On Sports Today. The games that matter the most, the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today, available on this app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. Gentlemen, it's one whale of a week in college football this weekend. We just talked about Michigan Ohio State. That's the game that has everybody. It's 2 versus 3. Playoffs are on the line. But I feel like there are some games with some prospects that bring up some questions. Let's start with South Carolina, Clemson. Pick your quarterback warrior, Eric Crocker. DJ Uiagalelei or the reborn Spencer Rattler of South Carolina in this Palmetto State battle?
This is an extremely tough one because at one point during the year, I'm like, man, is DJ playing like a top 5 quarterback in this class? Is he a guy that is kind of reaching to be potentially the 3rd quarterback taken in this class? Maybe first round. He's kind of pushing and trending in that direction. And then all of a sudden, he falls off a cliff, gets benched a couple times in games, is not looking great. Spencer Rattler started off not playing very well, and then he goes out and just destroys Tennessee in front of everybody. And it's really hard not to have that image of what he did, the throws he made in that game. With that being said, I'm still going with DJ in this matchup just because I feel like I've just seen a little bit more consistency from him, and I still like the person as a prospect a little bit more. I'm still a little iffy on the character of Spencer Rattler. If I'm able to dive into that and maybe there's someone that could dispute all the things and the narratives that have come out about him, then maybe we can go Spencer Rattler and think maybe long-term for him. I think he has natural throwing motion. I think he's able to make plays on the move, and we see the throws. It just looks so natural. But gosh, there's been some ugly things in the past. I'm kind of holding out against him a little bit. So I'm going to go with DJ by default on this one.
Ryan, Spencer Rattler, or DJ Uiagalelei? You are a GM in the NFL, and you must take one of them in this next draft. They both declare. Which one are you taking?
So you're telling me Will Shipley can't throw the ball?
No.
Okay, all right.
At least not yet, anyway.
There went that plan. I have to agree with Eric Crocker. In the end, it comes down to one word for me, and it's not just performance consistency, but it's leadership in particular that I have concerns with. The only guy that I can trust is DJ. And in the end, he might not be an elite quarterback. He might not be worthy of a first-round pick. But I trust that he's going to do what's good for him and his team, and that's going to be at the forefront. I can't say the same thing about Spencer Rattler. I can't trust him to show up every week. I can't trust him to lead a group of men that need to trust their quarterback. I'm out on him.
Last week, Texas went to Kansas. Lawrence, Kansas, and Steve Sarkisian realized he had RB1. Oh, sorry, Ron. I totally forgot that. I'm sorry. And he had an RB1 who ran for 240-plus yards against Kansas. We know that Bijan Robinson more than likely is RB1. And we've talked about Marvin Harrison Jr. for the future. Xavier Worthy. Is he a guy that pops up on – oh, there it is. Is he a guy that can push to be in the same breath of Marvin Harrison Jr., Eric Crocker?
Xavier Worthy is special, and I've gotten to see him up close and personal. Saw him on the 707 market, played and was coached under some of my buddies, and my guy called me Derek Graves. My guy Derek Graves, he called me and he said, Croc, Xavier Worthy, I've worked with some parade All-Americans. He's the best receiver I've ever been around, and that says a lot. And then you see what he's done at Texas, and I like his receiver coach that he has, Brennan, over there. But, man,
Brennan
terrific
Marion,
prospect. Yeah. I think he is someone, Brennan Marion. I think that Xavier Worthy is someone that can potentially push him. Now, he doesn't have quite the size, right? He's not the biggest of guys. He's built a little bit more slight. Shoulder pads look really big because he's so thin. But, man, he has a ton of talent. And ever since stepping on the stage for Texas, he has done nothing but produce. So I'm definitely a big-time believer in him. Marvin Harrison Jr., 6'4", plays in the Big Ten under the spotlight. Everybody's seen those games. I think you've just seen a little bit more out of him. But, gosh, I think Xavier Worthy should be talked about at the very least as a first-round pick in next year's draft class.
Ryan, you agree with that? Xavier Worthy, you got a chance to see him not do a whole lot against Kansas because Bijan was doing enough. But Xavier Worthy, you watched him in the Big 12. Your thoughts about him projecting on into 2024? I'll put this. It's a real fast comp, but he gives kind of some Chris Olave vibes. Vlave had that kind of smooth acceleration and speed. I don't know if Worthy's quite that polished, but I think Worthy is probably a little bit more dynamic. Your thoughts about Xavier Worthy, who we'll see against Baylor this weekend?
He's definitely not as polished as Olave. It's not really close in my opinion, but he's way more explosive. Actually, it's funny because when you take this comparison in general, Worthy reminds me more of Marvin Harrison Sr. than Marvin Harrison Jr. does, to tell you the truth. So, I can see some similarities there. And I will say he didn't have to do much against Jayhawks. Unfortunately, that's the way that goes. But what you saw earlier in the season was not just the athleticism and the focus on the ball, tracking, but big playability as well, big time, situational awareness. And I think that's only going to help him going forward. Unfortunately, I think there's a bigger question about who's going to be throwing the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. than there is for Worthy. So if Quinn Ewers continues to progress, I think you have to say that offense may be in a better position. So that may lend itself towards Worthy. In the end, I think right now I still prefer the all-around skill set of Harrison, but that's just where I'm at today.
Well, one of my favorite players to watch in college football, he's not going to be, well, he might be a day 2 guy, maybe late on day 2. Is Roschon Johnson, former quarterback in high school, kind of do it all, weapon X, running back, fullback, special teams. They love him at Texas. I love that guy. I feel like he can go to a lot of different teams and do a lot of different things for those teams. Roschon Johnson, number 2. Notre Dame goes to the College. They take on USC. We don't know where Eric Crocker sits on this one, but Ryan Tracy, Michael Mayer, is he definitely tight end number 1 in your book?
He is. Kudos to Kincaid coming up, and there's a couple of other athletic guys, but I just don't think they're as well-rounded. You can plug Michael Mayer into the offense in the league right now, and he will do something for you that accentuates and helps your offense. I'm confident in that. And bottom line, that might not be a huge bar to get past, but that gives me the fact that he is TE1. Is he a first-round pick? It's the level of interest that is the question for me.
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a great point as it pertains to tight end. Eric Crocker, I'm asking you the most difficult question you're going to be asked. You got all kinds of college football players this weekend, and they all have their sights on going to the NFL. Is Caleb Williams the best overall NFL draft prospect that will be playing this weekend in college football?
No. I think that's still Will Anderson out of Alabama. But I would say, just in the sense of the quarterbacks and what it looks like, man, he's so talented. And he made some throws against UCLA, rolling to his left. Didn't even have to flip the hips. You see the arm talent. It's out of this world. Still has to hone in a little bit more on some of the recklessness, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of a guy that plays in Kansas City right now, Patrick Mahomes. I'm not saying he's Pat. All right? But he does some of those things, and it's very unique gunslinger play style. So it is exciting to watch him, and I think, when it's all said and done, how he's going to be viewed as a quarterback prospect between him and May, quarterback over there at UNC. That's another one that I know we haven't talked a whole lot about. Redshirt freshman, big. He has more size than Caleb Williams, but has a lot of mobility as well. That's going to be a quarterback where we're talking about, is he the best prospect as well? And I think we do this every year, talk about quarterbacks in next year. Then next year comes, and you're not talking about those guys at all. So we'll see if those guys still continue to be on our radars as high as they are right now.
I got a feeling those two will for sure. I think the ones you'd circle and go, jury's still out. Jackson Dart, Ole Miss, Quinn Ewers. God, Quinn Ewers has to get back on track because that has looked UGLY for him. When they had to throw the football on their last loss, so that's going to be interesting. Notre Dame at USC is going to be a fun battle with some definite NFL prospects, including wide receiver 1 for all of us, Jordan Addison. I think that's still the case. We'll see what Iowa State does at TCU. Can they knock off the Horny Toads in TCU and keep them from being undefeated? And then you got Oregon taking on Oregon State. And I want you guys to chew on this one. Is Bo Nix a better draft prospect than Anthony Richardson? Okay, don't answer that now, but just sit on that for a little bit because that's come up at some point. So we'll see if we need to discuss Bo Nix v. Anthony Richardson. But 2 big games this weekend for both of them as Nix takes on the Beavers and Richardson takes on the Noles. Eric?
Yeah, I do want to give a little love to Duggar, the quarterback for TCU. I was on a flight out to California. The girl sitting next to me, she was a trainer at TCU. I see her bag. Her bag was like TCU, Horned Frogs all over it. So I said, hey, man, what's up with him? What kind of person is he? She said, oh, he's a great guy. Great guy. So, you start to find out about who guys are in different ways. And I just happened to be sitting next to a young lady on a flight. So shout out to her. She had a lot of good things to say about the TCU quarterback.
Yeah, a guy that started the year as a 3-year starter. Then when Sonny Dykes came in, made him the backup. The starter got hurt. Duggan went back in, and he's not giving the job back. That, Zach Wilson, is how you handle your business, how Max Duggan did at TCU. That, my friend, is how you handle it. All right, it wouldn't be a Friday night if we didn't squeeze in a Friday night draft, and we will do that next. We have 3 rounds to make a holiday extravaganza meal for all of us. We got a protein, a side, and a dessert. We'll do that next. But first, I'm going to keep you safe. And the only people that keep you safe, Simply Safe. When it comes to home security systems, Simply Safe is the only way to go. And right now, for Locked On NFL Draft listeners, you can order the #1 rated Simply Safe home security system for 50% off. It's our biggest offer of the year, and you will not want to miss it. Think about holiday season. This has happened in my neighborhood. There was a house that got broken into, and I swear to you, it was the night that we talked about Simply Safe a few nights ago. And I thought, wow, there's something there, especially at the holidays. You never know what's going to happen. Well, how do you keep your family safe, your belongings safe, your home safe? Simply Safe. Order your Simply Safe system for half off today. 24/7 monitoring agents, Simply Safe tech support staff, Fast Protect technology. They know whether a threat is real or not, and you can feel that much better when you travel, or maybe one person in the family is staying with the rest of the family is going. You can feel great that you are protected by Simply Safe. Don't miss your chance to save big on the only security system that we recommend. Get 50% off any new Simply Safe system. That's Simply, with an I, simplysafe.com/LockedOnNFL. This is the biggest decision of the year. Do not wait. That's simplysafe.com/LockedOnNFL. There's no safe like Simply Safe. All right, boys, we're going to buzz through a Friday night draft with a protein, a side, and a dessert. We're building our holiday extravaganza meal. Now, you don't have to go in that order, but those are the 3 things that you are selecting. I know that each of you would like to go first, but I'm going to go first because I never get to go first. So I usually give it up to you guys. So I'm going to go first because I'm going to start this off with the side. It's the best side I've ever had. And it actually happened when we, the Texans, were at the Greenbrier 2017-2018. It wasn't just mashed potatoes. We went to Jerry West Steakhouse at the Greenbrier, and they gave us lobster mashed potatoes. It's the greatest side I've ever had. I mean, we were fighting for it at the end. So I'm going for my side to start off. Pick #1, the Bryce Young of this draft, is lobster mashed potatoes from Jerry West Steakhouse in West Virginia. Now, you don't have to be that specific, but that's what I'm going with right now.
That does sound good. I'm not going to lie. Anything with like kind of that lobster mixed in there cooked in there with that juices, that's something that definitely can kind of get my mouth watering just a little bit.
Okay, Eric, you're going to go next. Ryan, you'll go, and then Snake back. Side, protein, dessert.
Oh, man. I mean, this is the #1. Should be the #1 overall pick. You got the mashed potatoes with the lobster. It sounds great.
Yep.
But come on, man. Baked mac and cheese. Come on, baby. That's got to be #1. That's my favorite. I can eat that by itself, let alone with all the other things that we're going to put into this. But I'm definitely going baked mac and cheese. And, I think people, a lot of people know how to make it. They make it good. But, man, Mom, shout out to Moms. Moms makes it, and I can't wait to eat that. I'm looking more forward to eating my mom's baked mac and cheese than actually seeing people for Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah, I'm absolutely. I mean, my wife and my daughter are out in LA, so it's just me and my son. We're gonna have food for days. All right, Ryan, protein side dessert. You get 2 picks and the first going into the second. Go.
I'm gonna start by replicating the best Thanksgiving main that I've ever had. A buddy of mine, Chef Goose, he's a hunter. He cooks his own kills. He does the whole thing. It's a play on John Madden's turducken, but it's an elk tenderloin stuffed inside of a duck breast, stuffed inside of a turkey, and cooked to perfection. it all blends together. And when you slice that thing through, you get a little bit of heaven in 3 different bites. And it doesn't matter where you got the birds from. The elk comes through, and the inner part is like that Tootsie Roll. The inside is the best part. Best main I ever had in my life.
That's pretty good. All right, now you got a side and dessert. Where are you going in the second round?
This one I stole from a chef at Salty's on Alki in Seattle. So all you Seahawks fans ought to know this one. This is a sourdough-based stuffing put in a standard turkey, but the only ingredients are pork belly, basil, pine nuts, and king crab. And it is a dish. If you're going to have a side dish, you might not go back for the main if you have this. I will tell you that.
Holy smokes. I don't know. I mean, that's ridiculous. All right, Eric, nobody is taking a dessert. You got a protein or dessert. Which one and where are you going?
I'm definitely going to go with the dessert on this one. And there's a few different ways I could take this. But shout out to my grandma. She makes a mean peach cobbler. So I'm going to go with peach cobbler on this one. It was between her peach cobbler or her sweet potato pie. But I'm going to go with Ma's peach cobbler. I'm looking forward to that.
All right, very good. All right, I get to finish up protein and dessert. Now, I know I can't tell you the name of this dessert. My friend, our friend, Lance Zerline from NFL.com, Lance and I grew up together, and Lance actually named it. And it's something I can't really say, but his premise was this dessert was so good, it made you want to punch yourself somewhere. So this dessert, and it's hard to explain it, but it's like a pudding whipped cream dessert that my mom makes. I've never seen a dessert go as fast as that one did when my mom would make it. It had chocolate shavings on top of whipped cream that was on top of chocolate mousse and pudding. And it was absolutely ridiculously sick. Now, I'm going to write down what I called it, but just know that dessert was the most ridiculous dessert there has ever been. All right, round 3, I finish up. It comes back to me for my protein. And this should be easy. I mean, you think there's so many different proteins, and I was sort of stuck of which one and where I was going to go. So I just decided I'm going to do something really weird, and I'm just going to take the Southern and the Texas and put it together, and my favorite protein of all time is chicken fried steak. So I'm just going to do it. Chicken fried steak, a big one with mashed potato, sausage, white cream gravy. I'm just going to do it. I mean, I'm going to go chicken fried steak. It may not be Thanksgiving, but I don't care. It's my favorite protein. I'm going with it.
All right, listen, this is another easy one for me, and I'm not a big turkey person. So, when we talk about something that has 29 grams protein and it's sweet, tastes good, give me a honey glazed baked ham, pineapples drizzled on there, cooked in there. Man, I love me some ham, and I have no idea how anyone can eat a turkey over a ham. Give me that good ham with that protein. Let's go.
Man, I'm telling you, I've been saying that for years in the Harris family, and I just get fought every single year. I'm like, well, we eat the ham at Christmas. Like, no, the ham is better. So anyways, so I went and got it.
Here's the thing about turkey, too. Everybody says, oh, the person's not cooking. So nobody knows how to cook turkey? Because everything I hear is, it's got to be cooked right. You got to be cooked right. That's why you don't like it. Well, that person didn't cook it right. It's like, well, how hard is it to cook this thing for you to taste something that tastes good? It's okay. It's okay. And please don't cancel your, this show or anything like that because I'm just killing turkey right now. I mean, it's okay, but it ain't ham. It's juicy. It's sweet. It's good. It goes with all the different sides. I mean, how is this even a debate? I actually put this on Twitter, and turkey won. I'm like, how is turkey get more votes than ham? I'll never understand it.
I will say this, like I said earlier, my wife and daughter are out in LA, and so my son and I didn't want to cook turkey, so I cooked other things, and then I went and got 3 pies for us from my favorite pie company here. But I got a deep fried Cajun turkey from a buddy of mine who owns a place here in Houston. That was ridiculously good. So I was very happy for that. All right, Ryan, bring us home with a dessert. Your meal thus far is just ridiculously good. So you better finish. You have to live up to it now. So you got to come up with a dessert. Go.
Well, when folks see me in public, they'll understand that I am a foodie for a reason. It all sits around the waistline, so that's okay. That's how this happens. And I won't say this is the reason I married her, but it's up there. So shout out to my wife because she has a family recipe she brought into our family. It is a chocolate bourbon pecan pie. And it will crush the rest of your will. You will be asleep, I guarantee. After that, one piece of that pie and you're out. And it is the perfect end to every meal. And actually, it's a little bit better for breakfast the next day.
I'm all for anything with a little bit of bourbon.
Yeah,
man,
okay.
Are you kidding me? If you have not eaten a piece of pie for breakfast during the Thanksgiving or even Christmas holidays, then I don't want to be friends with you.
Right.
Then you're out. You have to have a piece of pie. That's not even controversial. I mean, that's just a must. I mean, if you're not eating a piece of pecan pie, apple pie, peach cobbler, any of that, or the dessert that I can't say what the name of it is, you're not having that for breakfast, then you're not living right. And I don't want to be friends with you. But I want to be friends with these guys, Eric Crocker, Ryan Tracy, and we are friends with you. And we thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Sports Day podcast, the biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get podcasts. Gentlemen, it's been a great week. Happy Thanksgiving to anybody. Obviously, yesterday was that day, but it's the weekend, so y'all enjoy football, enjoy each other, and we'll see you next time right here on Locked On NFL Draft. Let's go.